video in which we can see the various things like the amount of waste generated and how developed countries are handling it. So I was supposed to present the lecture on municipal solid waste, but then being the participant, I saw that one of the expert speaker has already spoken in detail about the municipal waste. So I decided to shift to the potential of some of the methods for the waste management. Today, as well as in the coming days, this waste management is one of the highly prioritized areas, especially in the heavily populated countries like India, because we have no land where we can easily dump the waste. We have to somehow manage that waste, and one of the ways technique is the pyrolytic processes used in this solid waste management sector. First of all, I would like to acknowledge H. Johra of Brunel University, London. Uh, he has provided me some data on this uh, pyrolytic waste management. So let us see the country-wise, a few of the countries, including India, how the composition, how the waste is composed. So in USA, if you see, the major portion is the paper, which is again we call it a biodegradable. Along with the second is the yarn trimming, food residue, plastics, rubber, leather waste, wooden, metallic, glass, other wastes are less than 10% as from this. Now coming to Europe. Europe is again, we say it is a developed. How their waste pattern goes is paper and board 29%. Now food and garden waste is having highest percentage, which is 32%. Then glass, plastic, metals, textiles, and others. Now coming to India. Now we generate 1.33 lakh metric ton per day of waste per day, out of which 0.91 lakh means 68% is collected, and waste littered is 32%, 0.42 lakh metric ton per day. The treatment as of now is municipal solid waste treated is only 19%, whereas 49% is the crude dumping, or we call it landfilling. The type of waste we are generating is 47% biodegradable, paper waste is 8%, rubber 9%, and there are a good amount of inerts which are non-biodegradable, 25%. So India requires 1240 hectares of additional land per year to handle this untreated solid waste. Also, one thing should be noted that the calorific value of this waste varies from 800 to 1100 kilocalories, and the moisture content 40 to 50%. Now, waste is not called waste these days, it is a wealth. As we have seen, there is a private company in California, San Francisco, who is managing a huge quantity of waste and generating a huge profit by recycling as well as by producing the manure. So India has a potential by this year. Waste to energy is we can produce 700 megawatt. So waste to compost 54 lakh metric ton. So this is the report from the Waste to Energy Committee constituted under the chairmanship of Dr. K. Kasturi Ranjan. I have taken the data from that. Now, how to manage the waste? There are mainly three ways. First is recycling. That is the best method if we can do this. We have seen that San Francisco is recycling 76% of its waste. Second part is energy recovery. If we cannot recycle the waste, we must recover the energy from this. And my today's presentation is based on this second part of this managing waste. And obviously the last one is the landfilling, which is the least preferred and it is often avoided. So before coming to my topic, which is pyrolysis, let me give you another introduce another terminology which is common, which is incineration or simply burning. So most of the countries right now is using this technology, which is incineration, to handle the non-recyclable waste. So in this process, a well properly designed furnace at a suitable temperature and pressure is used to burn the solid waste. So it reduces the volume to a greater extent, up to a level of say 3 to 5% only, and the burning temperature achieved is in the range of 1200 to 1500 degrees centigrade. So it sterilizes as well as the stabilizes the waste with reduction in volume. But the only problem with this process is with that we generate a lot of harmful gases which must be treated before sending the fumes to the atmosphere. So many countries, including USA and other European countries, Singapore, they are generating a lot of energy from the waste using incineration process. The remaining 3 to 5% ash they dump in the barren islands. So now how pyrolysis is different from the incineration? We all know that pyrolysis is the thermal decomposition of organic material at higher temperature in the absence of oxygen. Now this is the main difference. Incineration was done in presence of oxygen, whereas pyrolysis is done in absence of oxygen. So pyrolysis generates a combination of solid, liquid, and gaseous products in different proportions that depends on the heating temperature and heating rate. It also provides an opportunity of transforming materials of low energy density into biofuels of high energy density, which can be used further. So that we will see in the later slides. So another advantage is we can use many types of raw materials, including industrial as well as domestic residues. So type of pyrolysis, we categorize it as fast, catalytic, fast, intermediate, slow, vacuum. These are based on its speed of pyrolysis. Another type is carbonization, gasification, and torrefaction. Now, how the product from the various type of pyrolysis processes varies. We can see that in the fast process, the gaseous products are very less, whereas most of the organics remains present. Similarly, in case of gasification, we get maximum of gases, very less quantity of char and water, in intermediate, we get almost everything equally. So depending on what type of product we require, we select fast, intermediate, slow. Generally, for our municipal waste, slow pyrolysis or slow carbonization is used. Now, type of pyrolysis reactors. Most common is this fixed bed type of reactor. We call it batch reactor, in which we fed one batch of solids, treat it, and then after recovery of various products, we closes that reaction for another batch. Fluidized bed reactors are continuous type of reactors. Spouted bed reactors are also continuous rotary kiln microwave assisted reactor solar. This last two, microwave assisted and solar reactors, they are the advanced one. A lot of research is being conducted these days. No one has commercialized these type of reactors, but there is a lot of scope of these reactors because of the advantages of such reactors. So I will explain one by one a brief about different type of reactors. Fixed bed reactor, or we call it a batch reactor. So these are the simplest available on lab scale and even on the pilot plant scale. Feedstock is placed in the reactor as a fixed bed, and generally this type of reactor is of stainless steel, heated externally, mostly by the electric heating. Now, disadvantage is that loss of energy is required to process one batch and a very long residence time. So it is difficult also to remove the char produced during the process. It is rarely used at industrial scale because of its cost ineffectiveness, but in the lab scale for the research and for characterization of products at the lab scale or pilot scale, these are mostly used. Fluidized bed reactors, typically these are you can say behaving as a fast pyrolysis, and so in this the solid waste is fluidized. Although it is very difficult to fluidize the solid waste, it should be the particle size of the waste should be very less, but this is one of the continuous type of reactors. So it is characterized by a high heating rate and good blending of feedstock. So we are getting a good blend of all the types of feedstocks can be fed in this type of reactors. So this is how fluidized bed reactor works. Initially in the blue portion, this is the feeding system where this screw feeders are there, including hopper, where this waste is fed, and this yellowish green is the pyrolysis system, fluidized pyrolysis reactor. So through this screws, this waste is fed into this reactor. Now from the bottom there is a air compartment. If required, we can give air, but because this pyrolysis is done in absence of air, so we generally don't use this. So after that, we get different type of products which are separated in this downstream processing. This blue portion is the cooling system where the circulating pump and condensers are there. Then we are getting this different products which can be used. The gas produced from the system can be used for the heating purpose. So this is the gas purification and recycle system of the gas. So basically the heating is done by the gas produced from the reactor itself. So the main aim of such system is to utilize maximum uh, energy within the system itself and generating various valuable products, solid, liquid, as well as gaseous fuels from the reactors. So, as I have already told that municipal solid waste cannot be treated by fluidized bed reactor because of simple reason that generally municipal solid waste is having high particle size. So in this type of reactors, the particle size should be very less, which can be easily fluidized by the air. Uh, we use nitrogen instead of air for fluidization. So second is the problem with separating char from the bed material, because this char is generally sticky and it is difficult to remove in a continuous system. So this type of reactor is rarely used in large scale projects, but fluidized bed reactors are very useful for several other catalytic reactions. Spouted bed reactions. Now in this we fed the nitrogen from the bottom, and it is a conical shape in which we can use, so this is a very advantageous simple uh, uh, type of reactor in which there is feeding is automatic through gravity. Nitrogen is fed from this bottom, which mixes as well as segregates the particles. So we are getting a lot of advantages which I have mentioned. So this is suitable for handling particles of irregular size, textures, even sticky solids with various size distributions. So this type of system is having a great versatility with regard to gas flow. We can even operate with a very short residence time, even with a very high residence time. So just by adjusting the gas flow, we can adjust the residence time. So excellent movement of solids in the reactant, which consequently leads to higher heat transfer. So this increases its efficiency. So this, moreover, conical spouted bed reactor is appropriate for the continuous operation. So these are successfully employed, especially in the pyrolysis of number of polymers, including polystyrene, polyurethane, etc. Another type is rotary kiln reactor, in which, like, since most of you are from civil engineering, you might be knowing that such type of kilns are used for the manufacturing of cement also. Same type of kiln is used, the center portion, which 4 and 5, there is a rotary kiln with electric furnace. The waste is feeded in this kiln. In absence of air, it is getting treated, and there is a temperature controller, and then subsequently we have a separating system in which we cool down and separates the different particles of the different components of the waste. So this is the most widely used system for pyrolysis of all type of waste. So generally these type of reactors are used in the slow pyrolysis of municipal solid waste. Especially it was started in Germany, Japan. Solid waste of various shape, size, heating value can be fed either in batch or continuous. So we have a lot of flexibility in this system. So it offers a better heat transfer. Generally, this heat is given by electric heating. So there is, we can easily adjust the residence time and this pyrolysis time, reaction time to perform the optimum conditions as per our requirement. Now, microwave assisted reactors. This is a simple microwave type of reactor which we use at home. If we put biomass or organic waste in this reactor in such a way that it should not be in touch with any of the oxygen component from the atmosphere. So if we are keeping this biomass in this microwave and optimize the condition, we can get gaseous fuels, pyrolysis oil, which is the liquid fuels, as well as the solid char. So this from the low temperature powder to high temperature, we are getting various components. If we are using high power of microwave, we are getting more of the fuel gases. If we are using less of microwave power, we are getting the more of charcoal. So we have to see what type of product we require. So based on that, we can use high or low power in the microwave. This is how microwave versus conventional heating. Microwave is, we all know, is very rapid and efficiency. Heating is throughout the whole material simultaneously, as compared to thermal heating, which is heating the fluid by convection conduction. So microwave heating is selective, because microwaves, there is intense heating for polar substances and it is ineffective for non-polar substances. So because of time shortage, I will not explain what are polar or non-polar, but only one thing is that water is a polar substance, and it is getting heated very uh, uh, quickly using the microwave. So, based on the highly advantages of microwave dielectric heating, these days a lot of research is being done on the use of microwave heating as compared to the conventional for the pyrolysis. Solar radiations are, now this is again to economize our pyrolysis. So solar radiations are used to achieve the temperature which is required for the pyrolysis in the range of say 500 degrees centigrade. Advantage of this type of process is that there is no operational cost, only initial capital investment is required. So there is almost zero production cost. So we will see in the next slide how we can use solar energy for pyrolysis using the sun rays. Now this central river is having biomass or municipal waste or any type of waste we want to treat, and there are heliostats, or we can say there is a concentrated solar light. We put various mirrors in such a way that we are getting direct as well as indirect solar light on this central receiver. So we are able to achieve the temperature up to 500 or 550 degrees centigrade. So in this way, we can pyrolyze the waste without any external energy. So this is a very cost-effective process, but still a lot of research is being done how to optimize and such processes and maximize the efficiency of pyrolysis. So for those in research, they can work on this. So in this, we have simultaneous production of solid, liquid and gaseous products. We pyrolyze the biomass using sun more things, sir. Your mic is on, I think.
Okay, sir, fine. I'll check it.
So we are using the sun rays to pyrolyze to produce a solid biomass, which is char. To get the vapors, we condense these to get two products: gaseous biomass, gaseous fuels, as well as liquid fuels, which can be used as a liquid fuel in as a biofuels. So this is a latest technique to pyrolyze the waste using sun rays, in which we are getting various components of the fuels. So type of waste, I will just quickly go through the type of waste which is treated by the pyrolysis. What we can treat is wood and garden waste. Wood can be classified into two types: softwood. softwood is having more of lignin, 45% of lignin and 19% of hemicellulose and cellulose, whereas hardwood is having 40% of cellulose, 28% of cellulose, and lignin quantity is less, around 23%. So we can use both type of wood in the pyrolysis. So this is a comparison sheet. When we are using, say, hardwood like poplar or eucalyptus, what type of product we are getting, gaseous yield is in the range of say 20% or 25%. Char yield is maximum. When we are using softwood, pine wood or spruce, so we are getting different compositions of different. So these are the work done by various researchers. I have compiled it, that what is the temperature, which type of reactor they have used, and what is the composition of three type of products: gas, liquid, and solid. So we are getting at lower temperature, obviously we are getting more of the solid products and very lesser of the gaseous product. So this temperature plays a very important role, as well as the type of wood plays a very important role for the pyrolysis. Second type, which is having a main composition, is the waste paper. So this waste paper, we classify it into three types: industrial use for filtering, packaging, electrical use, and wrapping. Cultural use papers are those used in printing, writing, newspaper, currency. A third type is food packaging for wrappers, food wrappers, tea bags, coffee cups, filters, etc. So there is a very large amount of consumption of paper. So it is a major component of combustible fraction of solid waste, accounting for say 1/3 of the typical municipal waste. Due to this reason only, many of the advanced countries, including US, Denmark, Singapore, they use incineration as a part of energy generation even today, because they have a lot of paper or wooden waste in their municipal waste. So this is again a comparison sheet for various type of waste, that what type of reactor is used, type of pyrolysis, waste paper for paper biomass, paper cups, printing paper, cardboard. So, and what are the different fractions obtained during the pyrolysis of these products. So we can see that in paper pyrolysis, the maximum portion is on oil is there, with the equal percentage of say solid fuel. There is very less gaseous products, and if we want to use produce the gaseous products, we have to go in for at a very high temperature, say from 700 to 900. Only then we are able to achieve high fractions of gaseous products. So another type of waste is the rubber. So natural as well as synthetic rubber is the scrap tires. So apart from tires, we use insulation, shoe soles, gloves. So when whole used tire is processed, 4 input streams are produced: gas, liquid, solid. Now in the tire we have steel also. So we are getting another component, which is steel. So temperature of 500 degrees centigrade is almost optimal for pyrolysis of tires, and the char yield is maximum from 35 to 55%, with the oil yield of in the same range. Textile clothing and waste are a synthetic material like acrylic, nylon, polyester. These constitute another type of waste. So in the textile waste also, we are getting mostly solid or liquid pyrolytic products. We are getting gas yield only at the higher temperatures. Another largest fraction in the waste is the plastics. Plastics, we have high density and low density plastics, polypropylene, polystyrene, polyethylene tetrafluoride, PVC, polyvinyl chloride. So all these types of plastics, they generate different type of products. For example, if you see at higher temperatures, HDPE, though this is a comparison for HDPE and LDPE. So we are getting most of the liquid products at higher temperatures. I think I forgot this polymer is used. So, but again, at the higher temperature, there is another disadvantage that the losses starts increasing. Though the char quantity is almost negligible, but the losses are again on the higher side. So this is the type of reactor used, with what type of plastic feedstock we are using, and a comparison between all the different processes. So for the plastics, one of the advantages is that we are producing very less quantity of charcoal, especially for this LDP, polypropylene, and only for PVC we are getting a huge quantity of solid biomass. Otherwise, we are getting mostly gaseous or liquid fuel from the pyrolysis of plastics. Another this upcoming or another type of waste is the waste electrical and electronic equipment. So these days, with the usage of higher electronic goods, this type of waste is increasing. The most from the household items, still fridges and defreezers constitute 28%, televisions and television monitors constitute 31%, IT and telecom 8%, mobile phones around 7 to 12% of the waste, which is the electrical waste. So electrical waste is composed of say 30% of plastic as well as 30% of refractory oxides. And in the metal, we are having maximum percentage of copper, then iron, then small fractions of aluminum, lead, nickel, tin, and other fractions. So when we pyrolyze this, we are getting different products based on again temperature. At the higher temperature, we are getting very less solid, and our liquid fractions keeps on increasing when we are using higher temperature. So how we can use, I will take few minutes more to sum up my presentation. How can we use these products produced from the pyrolysis? So first is the most useful is the gas. So this composition of gas depends on the pyrolysis temperature and feedstock. So slow pyrolysis, if we are using wood, garden waste, food residue at less than 400 degrees centigrade, they produce small amount of gas which is rich in carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, or light hydrocarbons. But increasing the temperature increases the gas yield because of the secondary reactions. So heating value of the gas produced from slow and fast pyrolysis is in the range of 10 to 15 megajoules per Newton meter. So at a higher temperatures above 700 degrees centigrade, when this pyrolysis is combined with gasification, produces synthesis gas, which contains more of hydrogen and carbon monoxide. So this type of gas is highly useful as a fuel. Oil is used in the same way as biofuels, and it is having more opportunities for use as than of gas, because we are already using liquid fuels in most of the industrial applications. So they can be used for the production of electricity, direct heating or burning, synthesis gas or chemicals. So temperature between 500 to 600 provides a good amount of yield of oil when biomass is processed with the heating value of 15 to 20 megajoules per kg. So from the plastics, when we are getting the oil, pyrolysis oil, it is having another advantage that we are getting very high heating value oil in the range of 30 to 45 megajoules per kg. So these are the comparison of uh, some of the oils produced from different, say we are producing oil from HDPE, polypropylene, gasoline, diesel. So these are the our already existing conventional fuels. Now these are the waste. So we see that except this viscosity is obviously very less for the gasoline and diesel, whereas viscosity is higher on the higher side when we are producing from the waste. But all other properties are almost same. So viscosity we can manage by heating, or we have various techniques to reduce the viscosity. So that can be used. The oils produced from such operations can be used in the same conventional engines as of the gasoline and diesel. This solid charcoal produced is again a very useful product. This is a carbon rich source of energy. So heating value of this type of char is around 34 megajoules per kg, which is comparable to the coal. So this char is an organic, can be used as organic fertilizer. Also, it can be used as a another chemical operations like decolorization, etc. So charcoal has while burning the charcoal, this production of harmful waste gases is also very less. So as compared to coal, we can use this char produced from this pyrolysis in the industrial operations as well. So now I'm concluding that the continual increase in the amount of waste produced by society makes clear the urgent need for developing new and better methods of disposal. Traditional waste management methods like composting, landfilling, incineration are now outdated. Even we have seen that the developed countries have started these methods 40 years back. So now these methods should be replaced by modern and very effective eco-friendly processes like pyrolysis. So we have a lot of future scope in managing this waste, improving the energy efficiency of the processes which we have studied, and the quality of product, eliminating any undue emissions from the pyrolysis process, minimizing the pre-treatment of waste, and developing technologies that allow for the efficient processing of mixed waste stream, because waste is always generally mixed. So we have to develop certain technologies which can treat mixed waste. So with this, I thank you. Any question? I think I have finished well in time. So we have some time for
Sir, now you
discussion
can
also.
switch on your camera. I think there must not be a if you wish to.
Okay, just give me a minute. Let me
Participants feel much.
minimize my screen.
Okay, participants feel much attached to the speaker, na. So, audience, any queries?
Sir, thank you for your.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
my
Thank you for your. Hello.
Hanji, audience.
yes, sir.
You are
Yes,
audible.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, audible. Sir, I want one small doubt, sir.
Yeah, you can proceed.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
are
sir.
audible.
Yeah, okay. Is it possible for in any portable pyrolysis instrument at home level, sir, and at residence level?
You want to produce one portable.
Yeah. It is each and every home. It's
Now
having
the
the
pyrolysis,
portable pyrolysis instrument. It's possible for collecting the wastage. Is it possible collecting the portable materials for using further uses?
have you seen the production of this coke or charcoal from wood? How they produce charcoal from wood at a commercial level? So, because for pyrolysis, we have to ensure that there should not be any direct contact of biomass with the oxygen. So it is very difficult to produce such equipment at home, but commercially what they do, they make a very say big heap of this wooden all the woods. So they burn the outer wood, so the internal wood is not having any contact with the oxygen. So external wood while burning gives heat to the internal wood. Internal wood is getting pyrolyzed, so we are getting this solid charcoal. But at home, I don't think we can make any system. In laboratory, you can make systems while giving some nitrogen atmosphere in the oven, or if you can say put a one shield on the, suppose you have a biomass, you put some metallic shield outside that biomass, like for aluminum shield, or we have at home aluminum foils are there. So you put aluminum foils there, put small holes for this all gases to go out, which are the volatile gases coming out of the this system while at higher temperature. So in that way only you can put it into the oven at higher temperature. At home also it is very difficult to attain 400 or 500 degrees centigrade. So at
Okay,
home,
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm understand, sir.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So anything else?
Any-
I think today this is my last lecture, so uh, uh, people might be enjoying and feeling relaxed, but also we have another examination coming at 2:30.
But let them not be tense in the case of
No,
examination
the,
also.
exams are always
They will, yeah,
yes,
they will surely enjoy the exam also. So no need to worry, participants. So anyone else having any queries related to this topic? So I think we may conclude now, sir.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So thanks a lot, sir, for joining us during this session. So this was the last technical session of our FDP environmental geotechnology, which Dr. Rajiv Roda has conducted very beautifully. So sir has given us the details of this pyrolysis process, its utilization in the waste management. So what are different types of waste like rubber, paper, how we can manage their waste in context to our environment. So Dr. Rajiv Roda has beautifully given the description of his topic, that is potentials of pyrolysis process in the waste management process. So I am really thankful to Dr. Rajiv Roda, who has imparted us with his experience as well as his knowledge during this FDP. So thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, all the
Thank you.
participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So participants, just wait. So now we will conclude this session, and all our technical sessions are over, and we will be joining at 2:30 p.m. and at 2:30 you will be having an online test. So that will be a simple test. What we have gone through all these sessions. So we'll be having a test related to only those topics and not in much details. So you have to join again at 2:30. You will be given the link of test at 2:30. It will be sent via your mail also and in the WhatsApp group also. So you can do the test from your phone as well as your computer. So there will be 30 MCQ type questions, that is multiple choice questions in this test.